This Creditors in Commerce classroom session, hereinafter session, is the private exchange of ideas and concepts between the providers and the recipients. The content is not meant as legal advice. The use or attempted use of any idea or procedure discussed in this session as applied to the recipient's own personal transactions, cases, or controversy, or applied to other cases, may or may not result in a favorable outcome or the same outcome as discussed in this session. Each transition or transaction, case, or controversy may be different as a result of unique actions or unique statements made by the parties therein, and each different act or statement in any transaction affects or may affect whether any procedure or idea discussed in this session is relevant to your transaction or that the outcome thereof will be depicted as in this session. The discussion of ideas or procedures in this session is not exhaustive of the subject being discussed. Many ideas and concepts that can affect the outcome of any legal or commercial procedure are not discussed in this session, and the fact that you may not be aware of these issues may have an adverse effect on the outcome of your procedure. It is the responsibility of each party to understand his own transactions and to apply the appropriate and complete concepts necessary for a procedural and substantive remedy thereto. This session may be redistributed privately by any recipient to another recipient requesting them, conditioned upon the fact that this notice is provided therewith. If you have any questions, you may contact Brandon by email at harmony@creditorsincommerce.com or by telephone at 702-866-9077.
So I'm going to turn it over to Brandon here. So if you'd like to please join me, give a very nice warm welcome to Brandon.
Alrighty. Thank you for coming. My name is Brandon Alexander Adams. Everyone on the phone can hear me? Yes? Okay.
They're muting it.
Okay. Wanted to, this particular class we're going to do today is an introduction, laying a foundation for the inner workings of commerce. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the entire global system of government and economics all operate in the system of commerce. Today we won't actually go over any specific procedures. Today is basically just foundational so that you get an idea of how things are working. Once you have an idea of how things are working, we'll actually move forward with actual procedures that we use as creditors. We will distinguish between operating as a debtor and operating as a creditor. However, I'm sure none of you need any education on operating as debtors, seeing as you're educated by the public school systems to be debtors from the time you're very young. So we won't be touching too much on debtors other than to make the distinction between how a creditor and a debtor differ in their actions within commerce. So to start off, maybe I'll go through what I call law forms and jurisdictions to give you an idea of what those are. Okay. Law forms, we can look at it like a pyramid. Each successive law form falls within the law form before it. And at the top of the pyramid, we have natural law. Natural law is that law form that makes it possible for you to be here. Your existence, creation itself, the physics of the universe, all come under natural law. Okay? Underneath natural law, the next law form would be commercial law. Commercial law is any interactions between sovereign beings. When I say sovereign, all I mean is someone who has control over their property, not someone who is in possession of property, not someone who is an owner, but someone who actually controls. Okay? Two sovereign entities have complete freedom to contract with each other in any way that they see fit. There are no oversight of their contract. If two individuals outside of any jurisdictions decide to contract between each other, that would be in the area of commercial law. The next level down I would call common law. Common law is a society or a group's agreement on how to interact with each other. For instance, you have the United States. And the United States is a society. And within the society, we have decided that there are certain guidelines under which we will conduct business with each other, and we are in agreement under those guidelines. So that's what I would call the common law. Now, within the common law, I don't mean it in the sense, if you've heard of law forms such as admiralty and commerce and statutes, I'm not talking about it in that sense. When I say common law, I'm just meaning, in general, a group of people have decided to be under these guidelines. Okay? The next level would be what I call statutes. Now, statutory law is, for example, the U.S. has 52 titles of statutes in the U.S. Code. For instance, I'm sure you've all heard of the tax code. And the tax code is Title 26 of the U.S. Code. That falls into the arena or the law form of statutory law. Underneath statutory law, is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah. We have the final law form, or the lowest on the pyramid, and I would call that political law. Political law, for instance, I know this may be a bad example, but if I play in a soccer league, I am under the laws of that soccer league in what I do. There are no statutes in the U.S. Code that say this is how you play soccer. Okay, so soccer has its own group of laws, and that would be underneath all of these, because the field I'm playing on may be in a public area where statutory law prevails, so I can't shoot someone on the soccer field, even though the laws of soccer don't exclude me from shooting someone. The statutory law governing the law that the soccer field is in does prevent me from shooting them. But the political law of soccer says I can't hit someone, I can't push them over for no reason. So that gives you that's the basic law forms that we will be discussing today. Most of us operate in statutory law. If you operate as a U.S. citizen or as a U.S. corporation or as an officer of a U.S. corporation, you're operating within statutory law. Now, the advantages of understanding how to be a creditor in commerce is that you will learn how to operate in the highest law form, which is commercial law. And you will learn to do that through being as a creditor, you will learn to control property. Okay? Does anyone remember the quote by Rockefeller back in the early, I believe it was the 1800s, early 1900s? As early 1900s and the antitrust things were going on. He said something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing, own nothing, control everything. Has anybody ever heard that quote?